In this video, I'm going to compare the Yamaha MG10XU to the Mackie ProFX10v3 Plus audio mixer. The Plus edition of this audio mixer that just came out has a ton of really nice upgrades compared to the previous version of this audio mixer, so I think it's helpful to now go through and remake this video where I'm comparing the Yamaha against the Mackie now that the new features are on the Mackie. Now, both of these audio mixers are extremely popular. I think they're two of the best-selling audio mixers in North America, especially at this size and at this price point. People use them for live events, for rental, for home studio use, for live streaming. If you want an analog mixer for live streaming, a lot of people use these for home karaoke and DJ setups. Overall, they're really good audio mixers with a ton of great features for a variety of purposes. So let's go through and compare both of these audio mixers now. First of all, price is a really important consideration. The prices do change a lot throughout the year. Seasonality, holiday sales, all that stuff. So if you are wanting current up-to-date pricing from a variety of online retailers, we do have links down in the description below where you can find everything you see in this video from a variety of online stores to make sure that you are getting the best price. Okay, let's start right at the top. Let's just walk through from microphone inputs all the way through to the outputs. So for microphone inputs here on both audio mixers, you get 4 microphone inputs. On the Yamaha, all 4 are combi jack inputs, so you can do XLR or 1/4 inch on them. On the Mackie, you get 2 combi jack inputs. For those 2 combination jack inputs, you do get a high Z button for each one of these. So if you are plugging an electric guitar or electric bass or something like that, you can connect that to the 1/4 inch input, press the high Z button, and that will change the gain and the impedance to be better suited for that. You can connect an instrument into the Yamaha in one of these combi jack inputs, but it doesn't change the impedance. So a lot of people have good success, but if you do find that it's chunky or something like that, sounds a little digital sounding, you may need some type of inline impedance matching device. But the Mackie has that built in for 2 of the channels. For the next 2 channels on the Mackie, you get XLR separated by line inputs. So they're very clear here that they want instruments in the first 2 channels. If you're doing that, you can do 4 channels of XLR if you want, but if you're doing line inputs, to do it in 3 and 4. On the Yamaha, they don't really care. Put whatever you want in it. If it is coming in too hot, all 4 channels for the microphone inputs have a 26 dB pad. So if you are sending a line level source, like a drum machine or something like that into this, you can put a pad on it, and that will protect the channel from peaking and clipping. The Mackie doesn't have a pad for it. Next, the Mackie has 4 inserts for the first 4 channels. The Yamaha doesn't have any inserts. What an insert will do is you can use an insert cable, it will go into this jack, and it will allow you to put an external device in line. What that means is you can connect a reverb unit or a compressor or something like that, and then your signal will come into the channel, come down, go out, go through that outboard piece of equipment, then come back in, and then continue down the channel strip. The Yamaha doesn't have that feature. Next, we have a low cut or a high pass filter available on all 4 channels on both audio mixers. On the Yamaha, the high pass filter is set to 80 Hz, that's where the low frequencies will roll off, and on the Mackie, it's set to 100 Hz. Now, if you have a hard preference on either one of these, it's not a huge deal because when you get down to the EQ, it's now inverted. So if the low cut filter is at 100 Hz on the Mackie, the low EQ knob is set to 80 Hz, and on the Yamaha with the high pass filter set to 80 Hz, the low EQ is now set to 100. So if you are trying to tune those frequencies, you can get there on either one of these audio mixers. Next, we have the preamps. This is a standout for the Yamaha. If you're trying to do a home studio use with a hard-to-power microphone like the Shure SM7B, the Yamaha does have better preamps. It has 64 dB of gain, and the Mackie only has 60 dB of gain. That may not sound like a lot, but that extra 4 dB is pretty critical if you are using dynamic microphones in a home studio. In a live setting, it's not really such a big deal, but if you're doing this for home studio use, the preamps are better on the Yamaha. Next, both audio mixers do have a 1-knob compressor. I prefer the 1-knob compressor on the Mackie more than the Yamaha. The reason for that is the Yamaha 1-knob compressor functions more like a real compressor should, but that's weird being as a one knob compressor. So what I mean by that is when you compress on the Yamaha by turning up this one knob compressor, it actually adds gain to push it into the compressor while it's reducing the threshold and increasing the compression ratio. So it's doing a whole bunch of things there. The reason that this is bad is because if you have your mix set and you have a monitor connected or something like that, and you want to add compression, now you're adding gain to your whole channel strip, and you might not be expecting that. On the Mackie, the one knob compressor just compresses. It just compresses at a flat 6:1 ratio, and all this knob does is it just lowers the threshold. So if you want to squish those louder moments, you just increase the knob on the Mackie, and it will just squish those louder moments that you're trying to compress. The Yamaha moves you up a bit and then compresses it. Next, we have a 3-band EQ. The EQs are very similar. One big standout here is that on the Mackie, the 3-band EQ goes for every channel. So you get a 3-band EQ for your 4 microphone inputs, then you get a 3-band EQ for all your line level inputs. On the Yamaha, you only get a 3-band EQ for your microphone inputs. On your stereo or line level inputs here, you only get a 2-band EQ. Next, let's talk about the effects engine. On the ProFX10v3 Plus edition of the audio mixer, the effects engine got completely reworked, and now I think it's much more powerful than the Yamaha, but there are some things about the Yamaha that I like. So in order to send to your effects engine, you can use these knobs here. It's very similar on both. Now, if you're not using the effects engine on either one of these audio mixers, they both work as an aux output if you want. On the Mackie, there's an effects send output here. You can send that to a floor monitor and use it as an aux if you want. Same thing on the Yamaha, there's an FX send here. So that works exactly the same. Next, in terms of getting level out of your effects engine, they both work similar but different in classic kind of Yamaha Mackie ways. On the Yamaha, you have to turn on the effects engine, then you can increase the effects return. On the Mackie, you just have to make sure it's not muted, and then you can turn up the effects level, assuming you've already sent something to the effects engine using those aux sends. Now, the effects engine itself is very different on either one of these mixers. The Yamaha here gets a bank of 24 effects. You can select it, lock it in, and then you get a parameter knob. So if you're doing a reverb or a delay or something, you can change the intensity of the reverb, or if it's a delay, it will affect the timing of the delay. There's no tap tempo or anything like that, but you can just really quickly turn this parameter knob, dial in the time so it's in time with the song that you're using, and it sounds really great. The Mackie effects engine is completely different. It's a bank of 12 digital effects. So once you select the effect that you want, you can then go in and tune the 3 variables. So these 3 variables will change depending on the effect that you're using. So you can change time, feedback, and a high cut filter on the delay that you're using. Another big standout feature here on the Mackie is you can go in and you can EQ your effects engine. So if you do want to roll off some low frequencies or some high frequencies, or if you want to tune the mids, you can do that on the Mackie, and you can't EQ your effects engine in any way on the Yamaha. Another really nice thing, since it is just a little bit slower, because you got to click into this menu if you want to change the rate of your reverb or something like that, where on the Yamaha you get this nice fast parameter knob, you can go into this preset area and you can save up to 6 presets. So if you know you have 6 songs at 6 different tempos, you can manually tune each one of those effects to be in time with the song that you're wanting to apply that effect into. Or you can use it as 6 different effects for 6 different purposes, whatever you want. If you're creating and saving effects, you can do that on the Mackie, but on the Yamaha, you're just stuck with the 24 basic effects and the parameter knob. So I would say overall, the effects engine is faster on the Yamaha, but you can get more level of detail on the Mackie. Next, as we continue down the channel strip, we find the pan knobs are the same on either one of them. You can pan every channel left and right, but now we do find another really nice upgrade on the Mackie that the Yamaha doesn't have. The Mackie has individual mute buttons for every channel. This sounds, obviously it sounds like a nice feature, but it's a bigger deal than I think most people realize. It's so nice, especially at a live event, if you have channels that you're not using, that on the Yamaha, you have to turn them down when you're not using them. On the Mackie, you can keep that level tuned how you want it and then just mute it. It's so much faster, and you can get right back to where you were so much faster rather than if you had to turn down 4 channels, then you have to remember, oh, this one's at 50%, this one's at 60%, this one's at 25%. And it's a lot more work on the Yamaha without the mute buttons that the Mackie has. So that's a really big upgrade on the 10v3 Plus that the Mackie has. Then right below the mute buttons here, we do get the level knobs. They work exactly the same. The Yamaha, for the Yamaha, 0 or Unity is at the 75% mark there. You can see that triangle. On the Mackie, 0 or Unity is indicated by this U here, right at the 12 o'clock position on each channel. So on the Yamaha, don't be scared to turn it up past 50%. You can go all the way to 75%, and that will be Unity, so your preamp will be set and carry all the way through. Next, let's talk about the stereo pairs. The stereo pairs are a really good way to connect a line level source or a stereo source from a laptop, a computer, a phone, a piano that's in stereo, anything like that. So on the Yamaha here, you have 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, 10 that are all 1/4-inch stereo pairs. You can pan them if you want using the pan knob there. On the Yamaha, you get some other options as well. If you don't want to use 1/4-inch, for each one of those stereo pairs, you can use RCA for 5, 6 or RCA for 7, 8. And for 9, 10, you have the ability to bring USB in from the back of the audio mixer here. There's a USB connection, and you can bring audio in from a laptop or something like that with USB. There is a switch here, so you can toggle between the line level input or the USB line level input, depending on what you're trying to do. On the Mackie here, they're the same but different. You get more features on the Mackie. So there's a stereo pair 5, 6 that's 1/4-inch here, just like the Yamaha. You don't get the option for RCA on the Mackie, but for 7, 8, that's where you can bring in USB channels 3, 4 from your computer if you wish. So you can toggle between the 1/4-inch line level source or the USB level. For 9, 10, you get an 1/8-inch stereo input. So if you have aux cord from your phone or something like that, any type of input like that you can do, or you can connect a Bluetooth source. So this is something that's not available on the Yamaha whatsoever. You can pair your phone or computer with Bluetooth, and you can use that to bring in a remote caller into your mix. It will automatically give them a mix minus. So if you bring in a remote caller, they're not hearing themselves back on the phone. They're just hearing everything coming out of your audio mixer. It's a really nice feature for live streamers and those hybrid events that use an audio mixer like this that the Yamaha can't do. Next, let's talk about the outputs. Now on the Mackie, you do get a main stereo mute switch. On the Yamaha, there's just a mute, stereo mute for the headphone jack. So the Mackie has a better muting system there. In terms of outputs, both of these audio mixers give you a line level XLR output and a line level that's balanced 1/4-inch TRS output. So you have 2 sets of balanced outputs. You can connect both at the same time if you wish. Next, if you have headphones connected or stereo monitors, these do work a little bit different as well. On the Yamaha, it's assuming that you have one or the other connected. You don't get both. So you get one volume knob here that will control the level of your headphones and or your stereo monitors at the same time. On the Mackie, it's 2 different devices here. So your headphones get their own volume knob, and the control room, which is for your stereo monitors, gets its own level knob as well. On the Mackie as well, you get a whole bunch of cool routing options here. Up right below the 48 volts of phantom power button, you'll find this blend knob. So for the control room and headphone outputs, you can blend between the inputs on the audio mixer or USB coming from your computer. So if you are using this in a home studio, the blend knob is a standout feature again for the Mackie that the Yamaha doesn't have, that you can bring a track in to the audio mixer that only you hear in your headphones while you're tracking, and it may or may not get recorded depending on how you have everything routed. That's a really nice feature there. Next, let's talk about the USB connectivity. I've brushed on it a little bit, but it's important to go through this in more detail. On the Yamaha, there's a USB Type-B port on the back of this audio mixer. This will send a copy of your main stereo output to your computer for recording. It will also bring in a stereo pair if you want to route that into channel 910 for music playback. On the Mackie, it's more or less the same, but more features again. So you get this USB, and it's USB Type-C, so it's a nicer USB port on the back of the Mackie, and you can record everything from your audio mixer to your computer. But the Mackie gives you some routing options here. One, you can do standard, which will record everything coming from your audio mixer to your computer, or you can do loopback, which will record everything on your audio mixer, including the USB inputs that you're feeding it into the computer. Or you can go interface mode, and this will take your first 2 channels dry, no effects. It does preserve the EQ and the compression, and you can record those if you're wanting a multi-track. If you want a multi-track record on the Yamaha, you have to pan your first 2 channels left and right and manually make sure that your effects are turned off. So Mackie just kind of made some of this easier. So we're getting 1-2, a stereo pair from the audio mixer on the Mackie to your computer. But we're getting more channels back. We're getting 4 channels back. Channels 1 and 2 come into this blend knob for recording if you're doing this in a home studio use. And channels 3, 4 can come into stereo input pair 7, 8 if you're wanting to route music or something like that from your computer into your audio mixer for a live event or a live stream or something like that that you want other people to hear. Okay, what's my thoughts here? Let's break this down into like real world. Which one of these do I recommend? There's 3 standout features that I like about the Yamaha. First of all, it has better preamps. You get an extra 4 dB of gain. You get RCA inputs, which DJs love, but it's also nice for bringing in any type of analog gear, like turntables or whatever. And the effects engine is much faster. You can dial in your effects, set your parameter knob, and you're set. The Mackie is just loaded with way more features than the Yamaha. Starting at the top, you get a high Z button for connecting instruments directly. You get inserts on your first 4 channels. The preamps aren't as good, but I prefer the 1-knob compressor. Moving down, you get mute buttons on every channel, which is a huge feature. Moving into the upgrades of the Plus edition, you get USB-C on the back, which is better. You get this Gig Effects engine. It's not as fast as the Yamaha system, but you can dial it in with a lot more precision if you are picky about your effects. For the USB routing, these USB modes, again, just make it faster and easier to use. And you get more USB flexibility as well, because you have 4 channels of USB coming from your computer instead of 2 of the Yamaha. You can bring them into your headphones as a blend knob if you're doing home studio recording, or you can bring them into channel 7, 8. And another really big feature here that almost everybody wants in a small audio mixer is the ability to connect Bluetooth that the Mackie has that the Yamaha does not. I hope this video has been helpful. I know it is dragging on quite a bit, but there's a ton of differences between these, and I just wanted to go through everything to make this video complete. If you have any other questions or concerns about the comparison of this video, please leave a comment down below. Again, if you are looking for pricing or specs, we have links down in the description below. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.